How's it going, Ram fans? I'm Ethan Bird.
And I'm Terah Barrio.
And we're here reporting from the second day of the Colorado State Classic. The first one, we actually got to finish the first game today. That one was a blowout loss to Kennesaw State. We'll get back to that in a second. And the second game, again, was called due to darkness against Idaho State. And that one is building up to be a heartbreaker. Will be resumed tomorrow morning. But first things first, let's talk about that Kennesaw State game, Terah.
Yeah, so bottom line, bats just were not awake today. I mean, it's been a struggle. I mean, just in the first game, Ashley Rose was the only person to have a hit in the entire game. So that was the biggest takeaway from today is the Rams really have to figure out how to put the ball in play. Multiple times today there was runners left on base, and that just can't happen, especially when you're playing teams like this. You know, you have to be able to figure a way to get the ball in play, whether, you know, it's a grounder or just something for an RBI, but it just was not happening today, and I think that's the biggest thing that Rams are really going to need to work on.
And the Rams dropped that one 9-1 in only 6 innings, called that one early because they were hoping to get through the full second game. So let's move on to that one. Rams are currently trailing 2-1, and it hurt. It hurt.
Like I said, it's the bats. I mean, 6 girls right now are going 0 for 3 right now in the game. And when you want to beat a team like Idaho State, you have to be able to put up more runs, and you have to be able to get the ball and play more often. And Ashley Michelina was a key player today, just all around. I mean, she's always been a key player for the Rams, but just today she really stood out, and she went 3 for 3 right now, hopefully to get another at bat when they resume the game tomorrow. Led off with a triple, and was the only run scored of the game due to Haley Donaldson's RBI in the beginning of the game. But like I said, you know, they've got to figure it out. And something you mentioned earlier is small ball. And I playing softball in the past, that was my favorite thing to do, and it really always put the ball in play. And I just don't understand why that hasn't been
Well, there wasn't, I mean, in order to score runs, you have to have players on base, you have to have players in running position. The Rams just weren't doing that. I mean, part of the problem is you have to get someone on base in the first place. But where you almost saw a little bit of it was something that stood out for me in the bottom of the 4th inning in the Idaho State game. You had your leadoff hitter and the hitter after that both started their at-bats 0-2 in a pitcher's count, but they battled through in 7+ pitches for both at-bats to get on base. But then you have to capitalize on it, and that's exactly what the Rams were not doing today and haven't really done this whole tournament is capitalize.
Yeah, and I think a really big thing is that we have to remember is this team is really young. I don't want to say that this is a rebuilding year, but in a way it kind of is. I mean, there's 7 freshmen alone on this team, 3 of them which are starters. And you don't really see that very often at the D1 level. So this is definitely a year for Coach Fisher to really figure out what's going to work best. I think a big thing that they also need to work on is, you know, figuring out a different way in this order. You know, switching the order around, because they've kept the order the same in both games.
It's not working.
And it's not working.
No.
You know, like, you've got to be able to change things when something's not working. And I think I'm hoping in tomorrow they'll realize that, and that's something that they'll switch up.
And there's a lot coming up tomorrow. 2 makeup games. First one against Purdue, and then they have the scheduled game against Purdue at 12:15, and then they'll make up that Idaho State game. Hopefully the Rams will definitely be wanting to get 3 wins out of tomorrow.
Reporting for CTV Sports, I'm Terah Barrio.
And I'm Ethan Bird.